So let's say you have a complex cast piece and you want to try and clean it up a little bit, or at least give it a little bit of a different surface feel to it. You thought about sandblasting it, and you can always do that, but then you got to acid etch it or seal it with liquid luster or something like that. Or what you could always do is use pumice. Pumice is a great option for cleaning up surfaces, giving it kind of that semi-translucent feel, giving it a little bit more of a depth to it, and also preventing fingerprint issues like it would have with sandblasting the surface. But let's say that's all well and good and you'd love to use pumice, and you've even used pumice maybe on some flat surfaces with something like a Scotch-Brite pad or things like that. But when it comes to complex surfaces where you've got a lot of depth and issues and sort of bas-relief surface on your cast pieces, you usually have to use a brush wheel on a lathe. Well, what if you don't have a lathe? Well, the nice thing about that is we now offer these Tampico Agave brushes. These are just like the brush wheels that are made for your lathe, except they are all tied together with these little wire bands, and you can use these by hand. Now, the great thing about Tampico Agave, it will not scratch the glass at all. It has a high moisture retention to it, so it works great with pumice. And you can use this by hand if you don't have access to a lathe and a brush wheel. Now you do have access to using pumice on your more complicated surfaces when you don't have access to that brush wheel. So let me show you how this works real quick. I'm going to use one that we've already used quite a bit, and you can see it kind of spreads out over time, and you've got this kind of bush-looking appearance to it. This is what I use with our #1 pumice, which is kind of rough, so it really kind of moves these bristles out a lot. Once this wears down or gets too cumbersome, you just snap one of these rings off. You can cut off the excess bristles here if you want to, get it down to a little more compact usage. I'm still going to use it like this. I've masked off my piece here, so I've got a little #1 pumice here. I'm going to add some to my piece. And again, the nice thing about these Tampico brushes is they'll retain a lot of moisture on them. So as your pumice starts to dry out a little bit as you're working, you can re-dip your brush in your water, and it'll keep your pumice running moist again. Now, this is a great way to get in there and kind of really work out any kind of leftover areas that still have some of your plaster from your mold that's been difficult to get out, or if you just want to create a little bit of a decent surface on your glass to give it a nicer appearance. And I'm not going to lie, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of hand use, it's a lot of elbow grease, and a lot of patience to kind of get this to work. It's not as fast as using a brush wheel on a lathe for obvious reasons. So if you've got a larger surface area like this, it's going to take a while to kind of get in there and get everything done. So it gives you your workout for the day as well, which is kind of nice. So in just a few minutes, you can kind of see a little bit of a difference in there. Now, this would take a lot longer than what I have spent on it to do this, but if you look at the other side here, you can see it's quite a bit shinier on that side versus the side that I've done a little bit of pumice on. So it's gotten a little more of an even texture on that surface. It's not hazy at all. It's got a little bit of, you knocked down the brightness a little bit and gave it a little more uniformity. And it's a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. But it works great for surfaces like that. You can see here on this piece where we've got this side that came out with a lot of texture and roughness from the mold. And then this side, we have used the pumice on it, and it's cleaned it up considerably, given it a little more shine and a little more uniformity to that shine. And that's really what you're looking for, is that textural uniformity out of the piece, instead of sort of this rough, sometimes shiny, sometimes not, that comes out of the mold sometimes. This gives a lot more uniformity to the piece by working it with the pumice, which is really quite nice. If you don't have access to a lathe, it is a fantastic way to work these pieces. Just realize that it's going to take a lot of work, especially the larger pieces like this. It's going to be a process. And I generally recommend starting off with a rougher pumice and then going back with a finer pumice if you need to.